Okay, ladies and gentlemen, over here at the Gotham side of the DC Comics booth, we have another, in fact, final session of the day of the DC Art Academy. It's where you get to learn from artists at DC about their process, how they make art, what they think of the art, what they think of other people's art, really pretty much whatever they want to do. But we do sketches, and they're going to give them out as well, so you have a chance to get art from a pretty amazing team. Now, the team we have with you today is writer Adam Glass and artist Bernard Chang, and they work together on, it's Teen Titans. Yeah. Want to make sure I had the right variation. It's not Titans, it's not Teen Titans Go, it's not, oh yeah, it is the true Teen Titans. So, folks, if you want to come gather up here, you're going to get to see some amazing art up on the screen. It's not just going to be this little clip art. You're going to see some live art produced together. And since we have a writer here, I'm going to turn it over to Adam, the writer. So you put Bernard through his paces, and feel free to ask whatever you know. It's a captive audience. He can't leave.
Does this work? Oh, it does work. All right.
And you're allowed to sit, too. Don't let me make sure you sit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll sit. Bernard, how are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, you're good?
Yes, I'm all
so,
right.
guys, this is the way we do it at home. Just like this. I sit with a microphone over Bernard, and I tell him what to write
There's
and
a whip
draw.
involved, though. You didn't tell him that. and my leg is usually locked to the desk.
Locked to the desk, yes. We have him locked to the desk. If you're not familiar with Bernard's work, Bernard has been drawing for DC for a very long time, longer than some people in the audience been alive. And
Wow.
Bernard is, yeah, I wanted you to feel that. Did you feel that? But I was a fan of
feeling
Bernard
the
ever since
arthritis already.
I was a little kid. Bernard and I are the same age. Bernard is a really talented artist. I felt very fortunate and lucky to get him on my book. And this has been one of the greatest, people that I've ever had a chance to work with. Really, really enjoy his work. What I like about Bernard is he takes a familiar but fresh take on everything. You recognize the character, but then he does something to the character that I think sort of makes it feel more modern and fresh. So a little bit like what you're doing now. You want to talk about who you're drawing?
So I'm drawing Crush. Crush is one of our newest characters, newest members of Teen Titans. And she is the daughter of Lobo.
So let's talk about those challenges. Like,
Sure.
Yet we want her to look like Lobo, yet we want her to look like herself.
Yeah, we wanted to have, she's a teenager. She's the strongest member of the Teen Titans. But we also didn't want to make her too thin, but also not too muscular. And so we had to really find a balance.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversations about Crush because she is a teenage young lady. We wanted her to not be superhero buff, and we also didn't want her to be model thin. We wanted her to look like a real woman, especially a woman of that age. I have a teenage daughter at home, and we spoke a lot about, like, how does she look? And, she has, real hips, and she's not in Vogue magazine. This is like a real woman, and that was really important to us, that she be portrayed that way, especially as teenage girls were reading this book. And I think one of the things that Bernard did really well is, like we said, give her something that made her look like Lobo, but yet have her own distinct look.
And it's important, too, to also evoke a lot of emotion with the characters. And one of the easiest way to do that is through the eyes. But then also there's other little tidbits like a smirk or kind of maybe an uneven eyebrow line. There are little different nuances that you can do and throw into the drawing to make the character really stand out.
I mean, one of the things I think you do really well, Bernard, is I think people have always talked about this. You tend to make, not all your characters, but I know they've said this especially about Damien, is fuller lips.
Yes. Well, he's always pouting. He's a little brat. So.
He's a little brat, so he's always pouting. Is that? Do you see? Now, that's the other thing about artists. They see things differently than we see, or their eyes are more detailed. Like when I look at someone's face, I could say, oh, yeah, you're pretty, or you're cute, you're handsome, you're interesting. But you see the details, right, Bernard? You'll see if the nose is a little crooked, the lips are a little fuller.
Right. It's very interesting. I think I had a friend that was a pianist. She was a concert pianist once. And we went to see a movie. And at the end of the movie, I made a comment like, "Did you see this aspect of the movie and how the camera moved and how the the actor, played out that particular emotion?" And she didn't recognize that. But then she asked me, as a musician, she said, "Did you hear the score, the sound during this moment that really helped bring, this rush to that particular moment?" And I didn't hear it. So I think, we were all trained in our own craft, and kind of almost like like a superpower.
Yeah. Which is my next question for you. So does anybody else here draw? Does anybody else? Oh, we got one. Come on, come on. Even if you just sketch in your book. I think everyone draws. Gabe, you draw and you color. Yes. You do it both. If anybody
Gabe?
knows.
How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, he's crashing our thing, but you're more than welcome to crash it. So what I was going to say is, so I see things in words and stories as a writer. Do you see things visually in photos? Like when you first hear something or a pitch about a book or read a script, are you instantly in your head, Bernard, seeing the way it's going to be laid out and drawn?
I think I'm before we start drawing on the final page. Adam has a story, and Adam's story too is his scripts are very dialogue based. There's character interaction, and so from that, I really, after I read the script initially, I have to think about how this whole scene would act out with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different people, and then kind of imagine what is the most visually interesting aspect of that, whether it's a dialogue where they're talking to each other, or they're fighting, or they're jumping, or they're running, and then consolidate all of these different imageries that I have in my head down to maybe a few. And then from there, I can pick and choose which one looks better on a page, and then continue to draw from there.
Yeah, one of the things that happens in the process, a little behind the scenes, is, and there's a lot of different ways to do this now. I sort of still do the old-fashioned way, which is I come up with an idea, I write a script, I put descriptions and dialogue in, and then Bernard draws it, and then we go back and forth and just fine-tune it. Some people nowadays just do a plot, which is with no dialogue, and they give it to the artist, and the artist draws what they feel it would be, and then the writer goes back in and does the dialogue. We have now become sort of a hybrid of that, because there are just certain scenes that I'll know, well, you know what, I could write till I'm blue in the face, like what this should look like. It'll never be as good as Bernard does it. So I'm just going to say on this page, here's the emotion I'm looking for, buddy. Just draw what you draw, because I trust you'll lay it out in a better way than I could even think about it. So we've been going back and forth and sort of, we've been doing the book for over a year together, and we've found some really, collaborative ways to do it, trusting each other.
Yeah. Comics is a team project, so it's really a collaborative effort. We're almost like Stockton and Malone, Scotty and Jordan, or Pippen and Jordan. And it's really like
every kid's like, who?
He passes the ball to me, I pass the ball to him. And the NBA really is about duos now, no more trios.
Yeah.
So LeBron and Anthony Davis. Yeah. Who else? There's a whole bunch. Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah.
And really, the fun for me in terms of comics, not only is it telling stories, but it's also who you work with. And finding that synergy between 2 different creatives, 3 different creatives. The third person in this is Marcello Maiolo, who's the colorist in the book. He's not here. He lives in Brazil. But Marcello and I have been working together for 6-7 years now, and we really have a great rapport. As I'm drawing the pages and the images, I'm already thinking, oh, Marcello's probably going to be doing this and that to it, so I'm going to leave the artwork maybe a little bit more open, and then let him have kind of a moment to shine as well.
What's your favorite thing about drawing Crush?
I think Crush is really, the favorite thing about Crush is that there's a lot of anger pent up inside of her. A lot of it is, again, as a teenager, uncertainty, insecurities, not knowing so much about her history or her past. Now, in the last 2 issues, she's faced Lobo, her long-lost father. And so some of that is coming into fruition. But a lot of it is a growth. I think if you look at the first few issues of Teen Titans, There's maybe a little bit more of a frown or scowl in her eyebrows. As the series has progressed, she's become angrier in certain aspects. And now the last 2 issues, there's been a huge battle. And so that's a completely different kind of facial expression and tone with how she looks.
One of the things that you always talk about is that we have 6 characters on the team. So if you're doing Superman or Batman, you know, it's cool. You got him, and then maybe he's talking to Alfred, or he's talking to Lois Lane, Superman. But in our book, you have 6 characters.
Yes.
So figuring out how to put them all in a panel together, when not to put them in a panel together, you know, is a challenge. So, you know, what do? Do you sort of find a center point in those scenes that you're trying to sort of focus on, and then, you know, that's the character you want everyone to look at? How do you spread out the 6 characters?
Depends on the scene. Sometimes also who's talking and the dialogue that's involved. You want to be able to focus just with the layout. Keep the eye on 1 or 2 or 3 different members of the team. There's 6 different members on the team, so you have to find a balance in that. And they're also very different heights. You know, if you guys are familiar with Damian Wayne, you know, he's like the short guy, right? And he's always like trying to be the center of attention. He's the Napoleon of the team. But then you also have a lot of different other characters. Roundhouse, who's kind of big, and he's the comedy relief of the team. And then you have Crush, who's always the tallest. So with the different heights, you do have to keep in mind that if they're talking, you know, you want to make sure that if Crush and Robin are talking, even though realistically they're maybe a foot or so apart from their heads, maybe find a particular angle that kind of shows the 2 of them equal, if they're trying to be in an equal setting.
We only have 5 minutes left, so what I want you to do is, if you could finish up on Crush, then I want you to draw your favorite character you like drawing off the Teen Titans, who obviously isn't Crush.
Right now, we talked about Lobo. So Lobo's been a lot of fun.
Oh, Lobo, yeah. Lobo's been a lot of fun.
And Mitch.
How many people know who Lobo is? Okay, a couple of people know who Lobo is. Now, how many people knew Lobo had a daughter named Crush? Oh, okay, we got a couple of you who knew that. All right. I know it's hard to believe that Lobo could be a deadbeat dad, but he is. So, again, what's the difference for you? Like, so you drew our Crush, but now you had to draw Lobo.
Yes.
So what are you bringing differently to Lobo than you brought to Crush?
Well, there's a detail. When we started the book, we knew that Crush was Lobo's daughter. And I really but I also wanted to make a distinct difference with how her, what would you call it, the black outline around her eyes. Lobo is connected on one end, but Crush actually has an indentation. And I figured that's like, you know, everybody has a different kind of hairstyle or hairline or eyebrows. Even though they're an alien race, they should also have maybe slight differences in how kind of their DNA or how their looks are, but with slight similarities as well. Lobo has been a lot of fun because he's just a big bad guy, and he just kind of does whatever he wants. And he's scruffy and you know, very muscular and big, and he has a very imposing figure, especially when he's fighting against 6 teenagers.
I'm the model for Lobo. He usually asks me to come, and he draws Lobo based off my body.
I'm like, Adam, please send me a picture of you in front of the mirror.
Lobo's been a lot of fun to write and draw. And what's really cool, and you guys will see in the upcoming villains, what's the name of this new storyline? The villain...
You're the Villains.
Year of the Villains. You will see a new Lobo. I don't know. That might be something we weren't supposed to say, but you'll see a new Lobo. He's the Lobo you know, but with some extras added on to him. And I've seen the designs and what we've done with them, and Bernard has knocked those out of the park. So those will be amazing to see, too. I would actually say there's something very, and you're doing old Lobo right there, but your new Lobo has, I don't know how you describe it, almost like a surfer Hawaiian, you know, like big dude, dreaded, sort of look to him. I don't know if there's a name for that style, but that's what it reminded me of when I saw it.
I think I was a lot of influenced by initially he had like a dad bod. But then we said, okay, let's not go with that. Because we're exploring different opportunities and different options for what a bad guy would kind of look like. Or what Lobo would look like, but different. And I felt like scruffier, but also his hairline's a little bit different. His face is a little bit different. But also overall, Lobo has a chain that he uses as a weapon. And in this version that's going to come out, the chain is actually embedded inside of his skeleton and comes out at different parts of his body. So almost the chain itself is a part of him.
Hey, is it okay if I give this this thing away? Yep. Let's both sign this, and I'm going to ask a question, and whoever answers it.
I'm going to get it, and you sign it too.
Sure.
Get ready for your answers, guys. So,
Ready?
first one is going to win.
There.
So can someone tell me, we got to raise your hand, can someone tell me where is Lobo from? Cesarian, right there.
Yes.
I thought
And
he's from Jersey.
He is
Not
the
from Jersey.
the last. Yeah. He is the last one, or is he not? There you go, buddy. No problem. It's fine. You took it from the little kids, but that's okay. Joking. Sorry, guys. That guy right there. Bully.
You could have called on somebody else.
I don't know. He raised his hand.
He did. He was first. He deserved
yes,
it.
he was first.
Yeah.
All's fair. We're going to have one more here for you to look at in a minute. You also have said before you love drawing Roundhouse.
Yes.
Why?
Roundhouse is another character it's a new character, but Roundhouse is Asian American, and I kind of modeled him after myself. I used to be a very chubby boy, and now I'm a very fat adult.
Yeah.
But also I had a bowl haircut, which was like, oh, perfect. It fit right into,
Did your mom cut your hair?
My mom did cut my hair when we first moved here. I think that's a universal mom haircut is the bowl cut, because it's just straight across. And Adam, again, when we talk about collaboration, there was one of the episodes, there was a scene where Roundhouse takes Kid Flash back home for some home cooking. Yeah. And Roundhouse's mom makes this smorgasbord of food to eat on the table. And one of the things that I got to throw in, the help of Adam, was that Roundhouse's mom makes a dish of fish. But it's the fish, like ethnically, the whole fish. So with
Head
the
still
head
on it.
Right. And it was a great moment because, as a kid too, I remember when I would bring friends over for dinner or lunch, and my mother would make this huge spread. And of course, there'd always be a fish. But the kids were never used to seeing the head on the fish. And there was always be this kind of awkward reaction. But it was great that we're able to capture, these parts of our lives and put them into the books for you guys to read and enjoy and share.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's been one of the joys of this. We were all teenagers at one time, so you get to sort of live out all your teenage angst and, get your revenge on that kid who pushed you in high school. You know who I'm talking about, Randall. But it's been a lot of fun, and especially fun when you got a guy who can just draw the heck out of anything. I mean, look at how quick he does this. This is pretty amazing. And he was slowing down to talk, so let's not forget that, too.
At home, I talk to myself when I'm doing so it's practice. Well, my two parrots. I have two little parrots.
Yes, he does. You said they actually saved you during the earthquake. They knew the earthquake was coming.
No, they didn't. We had a recent earthquake in Los Angeles, and the two birds stayed completely quiet. I thought nature was supposed to warn you, like pets or like dogs.
No,
or
it's a
cats.
universal thing. Everyone was disappointed with their pets in Los
Right.
Angeles.
There was no warning. They
No
just
warning.
stayed quiet. They were scared. They didn't want to make a single noise. So
Yeah, Lobo is just, he is so fun to write, man, and so fun to see you draw. We did a thing where we decided to do like a scary movie, and the Teen Titans were hiding in a barn, and Lobo comes up through the floor, and I just love the way Bernard drew it. And, Roundhouse had a pitchfork and all that stuff. So it was great. All right, I'm going to have another question for Lobo. You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Can somebody, show of hands, under the age of 45 answer this question? No, I'm joking. Whoever gets it. What is Lobo's job? There you go, bounty hunter. All right, you get the picture.
Follow-up
There you go, sir.
question. What is Lobo's favorite animal?
There you go. Oh, I know this. Anybody know that? This is just for,
Yeah.
for kicks. No, wait. We know you know.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. No, you get it if no one else can guess. No, not a cat. Dolphin.
Dolphins. That's right. He
That's
loves
right.
space dolphins. That's
Space
right.
dolphins, yes.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, the boys, Eric Kripke right here is creator of Supernatural.
Yeah.
Fan of this guy. And the boys, watch it. It's going to kick butt.
Okay, I think you guys have done it. So please give a big hand to Bernard Chang and Adam Glass, Green Teen Titans. Thank you, gentlemen. That was awesome.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. And the rest of you, beef up on your Lobo trivia.